Now, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation will host its inaugural Youth Day parade, which calls for justice and change for the lives of young people. The parade is expected to take place today in commemoration of Youth Day and the courage and sacrifice of those involved in the Soweto Uprising. The parade will take place from the Loftus Stadium in Pretoria. SABC News reporter Ofentse Setimo gives us a live update. Good morning, Ofentse. What's expected to happen there today?
Thank you very much. Well, what we are expecting to happen today is that, as you rightfully mentioned in your intro, there's actually going to be an inaugural march that's launched by the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation that's aimed at, ensuring justice, especially for the youth of the country who are facing a myriad of issues. As you know, that the 1976 had a common enemy, which was the apartheid regime and an oppressive language at schools, which they felt they wanted to do away with. But in this day and era, there are so many challenges facing the youth, of which they use Youth Day to sort of advocate for those days to be addressed. Well, I'm actually joined now by Sekwetane Phamodi from Accountability Lab, who's just going to elaborate a bit further on the importance on this particular day. Thank you so much, Sekwetane. Is Youth Day still relevant to the youth?
Enormously so, but not in the ways that we've been so accustomed to seeing it being held up to us. I think for this moment and this generation, Youth Day is really a time for us to really start engaging in building up non-partisan cross-sectoral youth movements to start actually demanding the kind of intersectional justice that we need and deserve as a society.
What are some of the issues that you feel that are facing the youth, and as Accountability Lab, how are you addressing these issues?
Well, first and foremost, I think we need to start looking at how young people are kept out of or disengaged from decision making around public policy outcomes, right from the very top at national government all the way down to local government. Young people make up the vast majority of this country. Most of them are the black working class poor, and we need to be the ones who are holding the reins of power, directing where things should be going, how things should be organized. Among the issues that we are most engaged with at the moment are things like climate justice and a just transition. This earth belongs to us. This earth it is said that we will inherit this earth, but at the same time we are seeing all kinds of extractives and all kinds of investment into extractives, low regulation and enforcement of regulations as it concerns issues like pollution, environmental degradation and so forth. And so we need to be engaged with that, because we are the ones who will be left with this mess. Secondly, education. We need basic minimum norms and standards for all of our public schools, and they do need to be enforced. We really need to see a significant public investment into the academic performance of young people. This includes working with educators and all public servants who support young people to ensure that they are enabled and supported to help us young people, to support us young people to become the leaders that this country and the society needs. And so we definitely need to be engaging with the education issues, and we also need to be engaging with the public sector as well around how we support them to support us as young people to grow in the future.
And how do we translate those programs into tackling unemployment? As you know, that youth unemployment is one of the biggest in the country it has ever seen.
Well, the thing about youth unemployment is a very simple fact that our economy is geared against us. It is not engaged with where our young people are at. It is not engaged with where the working class population of this country is at. If we look at income inequality in our country, we are seeing that 1% of people are earning 40,000 rand per month and more. The overwhelming majority of our people are earning 1,500 or less. And this really tells us about how our economy is structured to benefit and suit capitalist elites. And so in order to be able to transform this situation in the benefit of young people and our society at large, we need a structural shift in how our economy is organized. We have to start with tackling corruption directly. Corruption loots our futures, not just those who have the money, not just those who have the power. We mean as young people who haven't been allowed entry into the halls of power to be able to shape the economy in the ways that we need, or the government in the way that we need, we are the ones whose future is being undermined substantially. And so what we need to do is we need to tackle corruption head on, and we need to ensure that those who are looting our future are put in prison and that those monies are recouped. Secondly, we need greater investment into the public sector. We need more jobs in the public sector. We need a strengthened National Youth Service, which means more investment into young people entering the National Youth Service in order to gain experience, in order to enter the working world with some experience behind them, so that they're not turned away at the door, even with many qualifications, to be told that they don't have any experience or that they should be earning as little as 4,000 Rand a month. We need more money in more people's hands. The more that money can land in the hands of young people, especially women and girls, the better for us, because we know that we are the ones, and women are the ones who are disproportionately affected by income inequality, by structural poverty, structural inequality and unemployment. And so if we start tackling those issues and the corruption issue, which has stolen many years away from us and from our futures, then we can start steering this country into a direction in which young people can start benefiting directly from where our country is being organized to go.
Do you believe there is a political willingness to actually address some of the issues? You've raised some really valid points, of which politicians, if they followed suit, maybe the country's fortunes might be better. Even the economy that you're saying is working against the youth might, they might address some of the challenges that are as a result of the shortcomings. Do you believe there is that political willingness to address this issue once and for all?
I do believe that at the top of our national governance structure, we do have that political will and that willingness to start turning things around. But we also have to remember that it can't just be the president or it can't just be cabinet that is trying to make these changes or to have the will. That has to all trickle down right down to where the tire meets the tar as far as service delivery is concerned, which is at local governance level, where we interface directly with public services. And for that to happen, we need to start shifting norms, social norms within the public service and within the leadership echelon at local, provincial and national level. It's not very clear to us that that is happening. We're seeing and hearing a lot of rhetoric at the moment. We are seeing some really promising programs like the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which I believe is going to be a very powerful motive force for bringing a whole of society approach and an engagement around combating corruption in our country. But certainly we still need to see some practical reforms at the level of the public service itself, so that our municipalities, which are collapsing, are being rebuilt with people in mind and with people behind that. Ordinary residents, not just the leadership echelon. We need to start seeing clean audits from our municipalities going all the way up into national departments, public agencies and so forth, so that we can start seeing how our money is being accounted for where it had not been accounted for, and we can then start engaging a little bit more directly about where the money should be going in order to meet our needs more directly. And I think that if we listen to the Auditor General yesterday, the very clear message for us was that we need to involve people more directly in governance. We are seeing this here today in terms of young people taking up the mantle of leadership and saying that we want to be more directly involved. We are shaping the agenda. But now that has to go beyond demonstrations like this and bring young people, residents and citizens, all of the people of South Africa, into direct engagement and direct opportunity to shape what public policy looks like, to shape how budgets are being apportioned across the country, and to also shape where our country needs to be going to in a whole of society kind of approach. And so I think that if we start looking at some of the promising, or if we start looking at the various interventions like the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, like the rebooting of the National Youth Service, these are promising interventions, but certainly we do need to see a lot more substantive engagement that trickles right down to the point of interface between residents, citizens and the public service itself around how our outcomes are being shaped, how our services are being delivered, so that we are not only engaged but included in governance quite directly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, as you heard, that's Sekwetlane Phamodi from from Accountability Lab actually saying a mouthful that the youth should be included in upper echelons where legislation is actually made so that they can also have an input that would definitely benefit the young. And with that, is back to studio.